love of self, and love of neighbour. Let us pause to consider the point that our life will be truly attuned to God's will and to the law's commands, if by every means it advantages our brethren. On the other hand, nowhere in the law do we read a single syllable directing a man as to what he must or must not do in order to advantage himself. True it is that since men are by their nature all too inclined to love themselves more than they should, no law was ever needed to inflame them with that intrinsically excessive love. So it is clear that keeping the commandments means not love of self, but love of God and of our neighbour. Thus, whoever lives as little as possible for himself lives a good life. Conversely, no one leads a more disordered life than the man who lives for himself and who thinks only of his own gain. In fact, the Lord, to better illustrate what feelings of love we owe our neighbour, refers us to our own self-love and sets it before us as a rule and pattern. This deserves careful consideration, for we must not interpret this parallel as some sophists have done, who imagined that his first command was that we each love ourselves and after that our neighbour. What he meant was that we must first transfer to others the love we claim for ourselves. That is why the Apostle declares that love does not seek its own gain. The sophists' reasoning is not worth a straw, for they argue that their rule has precedence over whatever is measured by that rule. So here, they say, our Lord measures love of neighbour by love of self. I reply that our Lord does not set up love of self as a rule to which love of neighbour should be referred as if it were inferior. Instead, since through our natural willfulness our love is centered on ourselves, he demonstrates that it must spread further, so that we should be no less ready to do good to others than we are to ourselves. What is more, since in the parable of the Good Samaritan, Jesus Christ included in the word neighbour all who are most foreign to us, we must not restrict the duty of love to those who have some connection or affinity with us. I do not deny that the closer someone is to us, the more natural is our obligation to help him. For the law of humanity requires that the more intimately we are joined by bonds of kinship, friendship, or geography, the more we must do for each other. And that without offence to God, whose providence leads us to act this way. However, I would also point out that we must embrace in the spirit of love all men generally, without accepting anyone, without discriminating between Greek and barbarian, and without worrying whether they are worthy or unworthy, friend or foe. For we have to think of them not as they are in themselves, but as they are in God. When we cease to look on them in this way, we not surprisingly fall into many errors. Thus, if we would keep to the straight path of love, we must not fix our eyes on men, attention to whom would most often make us hate rather than love them. We must fix our eyes on God, who commands us to extend our love for him to all men, so that we always have this foundation. Whatever a man may be like, we must nevertheless love him if we love God.